So it is 6:06 p.m. on September 10th, and the Peninsula Area Public Access Board meeting is going to come to order. We have Tyler present, we have Jeff present, we have Chris on the phone present, and I have myself, Arthur, present. Dr. Buck, Sharon Buck, has sent a message saying she is ill and will not be able to attend, so she will be excused. Dale is not in attendance. Oh, hold on a second, we lost him. Reconnect.
And Dale's had a meeting, a school meeting, because I emailed him, but had intended to be here.
Yep, all right, we got you back. And so Dale is excused and not present for tonight's meeting. Okay, so we need to adopt the agenda. Has everyone looked at the agenda that I emailed out? Or want to add anything to the agenda?
I did not get to see it, so
Here's a copy.
thank you.
It's the only copy, so go ahead and take a quick peek.
Chris, did you look at the agenda?
Nah, man. Okay, so we'll go over the agenda and we'll probably modify it with a couple of things. I think Tyler said he'd like to speak about a topic, so we will add that to the agenda. Okay, so we'll do that. All right, so can we have a motion, or so what's the topic you wanted to discuss? So we can add that as
Just for the board's information on my pursuing the construction of a new nonprofit to be a sister operation to Papa out on the West End.
Okay, so can we get a motion to adopt the agenda with the addition of Tyler's topic?
I make the motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, Chris seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, none opposed. Passes. Okay, so we'll move on to approval of minutes of August 13th. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes that I emailed?
I am so sorry. I am so I have no excuse other than stupidity. I just got lost in time. I have not solved anything done.
Anyone else?
I wasn't here, so it wouldn't have done me any good.
Okay, so can I get a motion to table the minutes approval for next meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I second it.
Okay. Now, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes to table approval of minutes to the October meeting. Okay, so we'll move on to the next topic, which is community comments. And seeing as we have no community members here, we'll move on to the next topic, which is the chair report. So for my report, things have been going pretty much the same as in previous months. We're still working on getting our audit review completed, and Chris has been updating us via email on that. I have been working on the studio a little bit in my free time here while we had the city council meeting obligation. I recorded it and got it onto the computer so that Elizabeth can get it posted remotely, which she has done because I saw it on the station. And I've been also working on getting a list of sponsors, which I basically took the county's fairground sponsorship for the county fair. I took their list and started making a sheet of contacts to try and get people to become sponsored or members, and create a template to start reaching out to them. So that's it for my report. I'll kind of touch a little briefly, I guess, in the other sections. So unless anyone has any questions immediately, I will go on to the next topic. So the next topic is treasurer report. And again, we currently don't have an official treasurer, but Elizabeth is still acting as the treasurer in an unofficial capacity. She has provided us a statement here. Our bank balance as of September 8th, 2019 is $4,327.82. Petty cash is $76.23. Visa credit card balance negative $246.36. No checks. Outstanding invoices. We have City of Port Angeles Water at minus 93.96. City of Port Angeles Electric minus 106.14. Grant account balance of minus $2,644.89. Grant account roofing balance is $0. Regular account balance is $1,312.70. Can we get a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I make a motion to accept the treasury report.
I'll second it.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion passes. Okay, so we will go on to facility report. That's just Tyler, if you have anything to report.
Unfortunately, no. No, I was here about a week or so ago because the front door upstairs, the lock cylinder, was flopping around in the door casing. And so I brought some epoxy and epoxied it into position, so hopefully the front door, which we always intended on replacing, because as we might remember, when we first came here, it had evidence of having been kinked in before. And if you look closely, you'll see where there's cracks in it, top and bottom running through it. So it's actually kind of amazing it's served us as well as it has, and for as long as it has, really, quite frankly. But anyway, so the door is now functional, I'm assuming, I haven't heard otherwise. And I had intended to do a sun shield for Elizabeth, because she's been complaining about the sun coming through the skylights there. And I wanted to get a retractable, like a pull down, spring loaded, and mounted horizontally on a track and a string. So that way, you could just jerk it, it would retract itself and go back and forth. Quick, easy, cheap. I haven't gotten around doing it, but that is on my to-do list. And if I weren't so far away, it would have been done by now.
Well, we want to thank you for fixing the door. We appreciate it.
Okay, and I will add in just a little bit on the facilities report. So when I came into the Port Angeles City Council meeting, I had plenty of time while it was rendering and being uploaded, and so I took what was the former director's room, which was supposed to be the former director's room, and I basically staged it to be an official meeting space and a workstation. Chris, you actually got the pictures that I sent out, which I will email to the entire board. I also cleaned up the main hall down, the wall upstairs. I spent time sweeping, cleaning, getting rid of garbage, making it presentable, as well as down here. I came and I kept working on cleaning and staging it for our meeting down here.
That looks good.
We want to thank you for all your work.
So after the meeting, Tyler, I'll show you, what I will have done, and again, I will email the entire board some pictures of what was done. So that's all I have to add for facilities. So we'll go to programming. So again, we don't have anyone that has taken over that responsibility on an official capacity, and Elizabeth is still doing the programming. Chris, I believe you're still backing her up in case something happens to our programming in terms of failure or...
Well, yeah, I guess I'm the third person down the line. Actually, Elizabeth has Wendy Wilson coming back to her up now, so Wendy's been checking in pretty closely. I haven't heard any bad things, so that's a good thing.
Okay. So, on behalf of Elizabeth, and she continues to make sure that we have something on air at all time. Again, I would like to recognize Elizabeth for continuing to do what she has done for us even though she's no longer an official board member. And so I just wanted to recognize her for that.
Me too.
If anyone else has anything.
I absolutely second that. She's done a yeoman's job, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
She is a solid person who really loves spotlight, and she's just given it her all.
We're very lucky to have her.
Very much so. I think we should maybe honor her in some way, a plaque or something like that that shows that we really appreciate it. Just a thought.
I am notating that down right now.
It might be a small thing, but it just show our sentiment towards her.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think between some of my woodworking skills and some of my graphic skills, I think we can come up with something that we can create to present to her.
Very cool. I like that idea.
Okay. All right, so next will be the outreach and fundraising, which again is me. I have, like I said, made that template to contact some of the people from the county's list of sponsors. I did send out a couple of emails to people who were on that list that had an email or website email contact, in which I'll have to follow up with those. I haven't heard anything back yet, but again, this is kind of the early stages, but I intend to figure out a way for us to get some sponsors and or some participation that will help bring some funds in. So on fundraising, I guess that's interchangeable with the outreach. I am still looking at the potential of us hosting movies or comedy night, which we had discussed last board meeting. I think that is really doable. I put a post on our Facebook page that we are looking for local comedians, so that way we can potentially maybe get a 2-for-1 where we could record the comedians, have some footage to put on top of some content, and at the same time bring in people from the community and say, look what we're doing, donate to our cause, or at least come and have some fun. So I'm still looking into those things. Hopefully we can get some progress further into the building once we have our review done and over with, and our worries of how long can we keep the doors open, and really concentrate on getting this building finished, planning what we have to plan, and get going.
Remember that I do have both a 20-foot projection screen and a projector that we, the idea was to have, the doors open and invite people in here, so your idea is great and fantastic.
Still got that blow-up screen, I never done that.
Well, the blow-up screen, and so, between all of that, we could get these doors open, and remember we were talking about having the flashy lights out front and all that kind of stuff. I want to do those video Friday nights just to, put a video challenge out to the community to say, hey, bring your stuff in, let's put it up there, what do you got? Maybe have a theme every week or something like that, just to get people interested. But that's why I bought the projector, was just to get people in here. Not that it was a great piece of equipment, but it was something that would project up on the wall, or on a big screen, and just get the moving lights going instead of dark. So yeah, absolutely.
And on fundraising, like I talked last month, I'm waiting to get hold of the person that does the grants again, and get her situated with Dr. Buck, so that we can go ahead and coordinate everything. So once Dr. Buck feels a little bit better, then I'll email her and let her know, so we can get something taken care of there.
And I think that, as I look around, short of this section of the wall here and the carpet down, we could have people in here. And actually, we're going to have people in without the carpet down, but, we could literally roll some paint on the floor just so that it looked sort of uniform, and, and just make the point that we're looking for a donation to put the carpet down, and, but just get the whole pack, which isn't that big, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, I think, starting out like this with videotaping it and doing that, so you put it on to public TV, right? It's a great idea because it brings the community in to what we're doing. And the community sees that we're trying to keep Papa open and try to get back to the community the best we can. That's what our goal is. Our goal is to have the community come in, like I said, enjoy themselves, but to have the community use the facility the right way so that it gets bigger as it goes. And I think you guys are doing a great job at doing everything and making sure that the stuff's being taken care of. And I think, having this on is going to be a big difference for people because people actually see. So, thank you.
And then, so on that same note and same topic, so I don't, since you didn't read the minutes, last month we had Dale expressed interest in wanting to contact Home Depot to do carpeting and or materials as a sponsorship. I asked him to work with me on that so we can get together since I also have a background in that and since I'm in Home Depot quite a bit and actually the store manager knows who I am, so a lot of the people who actually are there know who I am. And he apparently didn't like that idea and said, well, you do it. And now, I don't know if you saw his email, he wanted to take that back over, and I hesitate to do that for two reasons. One is rude demeanor and when I expressed interest as the president to work with him on doing that, and two, because of our current state of limbo with our review. So my intent was to contact Home Depot once we had progress made with the review, so that way, again, we don't step in front of the cart, before we know exactly what's going to happen. So I would like to, I'm working on a presentation to pitch Home Depot. Once we have the more or less finalized review done, so when we approach the city, we say, okay, we have money for our funding to keep going. Now we can go and say, hey, big, $1 trillion company, fund us. We're not going to close our doors. But Dale wanted to take that back over, and I said no in a manner of speaking, unless the board agrees. Because I would like to continue to do that, but if he wants to do it, I don't mind him doing it. However, I told him I think it would be best if we waited until we had more concrete footing.
Yeah, I said that, whatever, I think that's a minor. I mean, who does, is really kind of a minor, right? And you can easily sort that out. I don't think that's a big deal one way or the other. I get the, whether our doors are open or not. I think really the only thing is, are we going to have a temporary shutdown at worst because we have a 10-year lease on the building, and really the only issue is the city has been dragging its feet for 2 years, or I don't know how long it's been, but for a long time, and we've everybody on the board, everybody involved with PAPA, long ago assumed that the city was going to be supporting us in a meaningful way. And not only have they not supported us, not only have they dragged on what has been our source of funding, or we believe has been our source of funding, but now they've done this lot thing on top of it, saying they're not going to give you money to, it's like really doing a lot of things that have been less than helpful in terms of us moving forward. But I don't, as I keep coming back to it, I don't think that we should give the city that kind of power over us, nor do they really have that kind of power over us. We do have that lease. We are here. We are set up. We have our equipment here. We are programming. We are broadcasting 24/7. And whereas we've over the last year or two been struggling with a lot of personnel issues that, again, it's not our fault, really. I mean, really, objectively, we step back. We really, got what's his name involved with good faith, and we thought that we were hiring a tech director to move forward, and it was going to get grant money, and, we acted as a board in good faith to move the organization along in a good way. And in that, it didn't turn out that way. It's not because we've been sitting around, screwing off. I mean, we've really been doing things in a fairly timely manner. And so, to me, I guess also, I wouldn't describe myself as an optimist, but I also feel like you just state your claim. I mean, you do what you intend to do, and let them prove otherwise. And so, a long-winded way of saying that I would support either of you going to Home Depot tomorrow if you have the energy for it, and because I'm more of a political strategist in the big picture. That's what I do, and politically, that the city has not been supporting us is not good politically for the people that tell the city manager what to do, and we haven't played that card yet. And so I don't see that if we got Home Depot to donate carpeting, and we did this, and then they came along and said, "Oh, well, we're pulling on your funding." I don't think that'll fly very far, and I think we have a lot of different ways to generate money to pay all we got to do to pay our utility bills, and I think that we could get the council members to, agree to front money out of the money. The franchise fee is not a gift, right? It's not like we're hoping that they might give us something. It's mandated by federal law. So it's not if we're going to have the money to be able to pay our basic bills and keep our doors open. That is an absolute. We do have that money. It's just how soon we get it. And the only people who are responsible, who are the administrators of that federal program, are the city. So if they screw us over in the federally mandated program, it's not our fault, it's their fault. So another long-winded way to reaffirm to say, go get that carpeting as fast as possible. Let's organize a work party to do the walls here in Campaign before we put the carpeting down. And get our damn doors open. Holiday season's coming up. We can have the Christmas lights out in front again like we did, and draw public attention and just move forward. Move forward with the energy and determination.
Well, the thing is, what I'm hearing from you is, and I think with the carpet issue, with Dale being able to do it, Arthur, I think that Dale is capable of doing it, for himself. Let's see what he can do, right? He wants to go out and do it, we'll let him do it. Because you have so much stuff on your plate, and you're dealing with the review and all the different stuff like that. I think if we make a motion and say, okay, we'll let him do it, we'll see where it goes from there. If it doesn't get done, then we'll have you go and take care of it, the rest of the way. Because being president, I'm sorry about that.
Is that for emphasis?
Yeah. So I think that if we get a motion, I shouldn't say a motion, maybe put something on the thing saying that we will allow him to go ahead and to go talk to the people at Home Depot and be able to express to them that we are looking for carpet here. And he had talked to somebody before. So let him go back, talk to that person, and see what happens. If it doesn't work, then we'll handle the rest of it afterwards. So, sound good?
Chris, your input on this?
I have to agree with Jeff. Dale's more than capable of handling the Home Depot thing, or he is, and I have to kind of agree. You got a lot on your plate right now, and you got to kind of spread the wealth around, and Dale can handle it. I know that there's a little butting heads there, but I don't think there'd be an issue, and worst case scenario, if he screws up, then, then I guess we'll say something, but Dale's always been really good about fundraising and talking to people and getting money and stuff. He's good at that, so I'd say keep your chance at it, and that'll be just one less thing on your plate.
Okay. So the overall sentiment then is that we will let Dale continue with his expressed interest to contact Home Depot. I don't really think we need a motion for
No.
that, because that's just
Nope, it's
a part of daily business. So I will send him an email tonight or tomorrow morning telling him that he can go forth with it. But I do think that we need to set some parameters in terms of communication and what we're going to, I guess as a board, we should be knowledgeable in what the expectation, like, we should know what the pitch is, you know, what we're asking for in exchange, what we expect them to provide, and then, you know, you can update us on the rest of the negotiation. But I feel as though the board shouldn't be blind and just say, here's a free-for-all, and then let us know what happens, so to speak. I don't know if
No, that's absolutely right. I agree with you.
Me too.
Figure out parameters.
Is there some way that we can, because I mean, for me, I'm sort of blind in it, right? Because unlike you and me, who would sell jobs, right? As a contractor, you sell jobs, right? So you have valuations and all that kind of stuff. I don't do that at all, not even remotely. So what would be reasonable quid pro quo, right? Like what? I mean, you know, I hate advertising with a passion. I mean, seriously, I hate advertising. And so for us to put any form of advertising on our channel is just grates on me, but I know we have to do something along those lines. So I'm not one that's like, oh boy, let's just pepper that place with advertising, because I really suck at advertising. But obviously there has to be some quid pro quo. And I don't know how that, I mean, there must be some kind of formula, like the value of the quote donation relative to the rate that we charge for promotions or per minute or per second or per hour or something like that. There's got to be some number. And if we haven't already established that, then I don't know that either. But I know
this
that in the
is an
past.
unofficial rate that was talked about, was never approved, and I think she said she will email me that when she gets back. But we do need to come up with a new rate sheet, an official rate sheet, and I think, quite honestly, a reasonable rate sheet for where we are. You know, considering the fact that we don't really have as much of an outreach. You know, Dale talked about a fundraiser last board meeting on the phone, and you know, talking about raising $5,000 to $10,000, you know, in a couple of hours. Which, you know, while I am glad for his enthusiasm, I think the reality is not there of the funding that we can bring in through fundraising and things like that.
You're talking.
But even in terms of what we can reasonably say, here is our rate sheet, I think we kind of have to start low, even though we might not want to. We just need some sort of funding.
If you might remember, I don't know how long ago, but I did provide the board with examples of different pegs, and their various things amongst them were that, because we've had this question periodically, and what other pegs have is their rate structures and rental fees and all that other kind of stuff, because I don't know anything.
Do you happen to still have that you could?
It's in our file somewhere.
Oh, so was it an email?
No, it was fine.
Oh.
It was printed out.
Would you be able to take a look to see?
I can look through my stuff and see if I can find it again, but it
Yeah.
had examples of multiples, because I went through the pegs of all 50 states and looked for the ones that were comparable to us, right? So that it wasn't like, oh, yeah, New York City over there, you know, I have nothing to do with, so. Anyway, yeah, I'll look and see what I can find and see if I can find the restructure on that, or anything relevant to that.
So I'm put in for a topic for a future board meeting is to create an official rate sheet for the station.
Okay.
Because you'll need that too. When you have
Yes.
sponsors, you're going to be in the exact same position.
Right. So are we in agreement that we should require Dale to provide us a pre-contact summary or some sort of what the pitch would be before he goes and actually makes the official contact?
Well, I think he's gonna need to know what our rates are too. I mean, this is sort of a two-way street, because he may be a good pitch person, but when it gets down to, is it $2 an hour, $3 an hour?
Right.
You know, and I'm uncomfortable with him just saying, oh, we'll give you 10,000 views, you know?
Yes, so we need to make sure that we have the rate sheet done first before he does anything. Because
Or at least,
Something we agreed to.
something we agree to, yeah.
Something we reviewed and agreed to in terms of something that has some basis in reality, instead of, oh, it's worth $10,000 a second.
And that can be sent out by email, you know, for us to look at.
Yeah. and it's not like we're telling you it has to be
No.
approved by us, but we
No.
just need something
We
so we
need to
know
see what's-
as a plan B in case it falls through and one of us wants to reapproach.
Yeah. Do you agree with that, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So I will send that in addition to the memo for him. Okay, I'd like to take a quick pause. I need to use the restroom, if that's okay with everyone.
And he's running to the back of the building.
Yeah, okay, compare that too.
Yes.
Boy, someone needs to watch the windows, huh?
It's like, we're on break right now, folks. We'll be right back in about 2 minutes.
What's for
Thank you for tuning in. They have, I think the biggest thing is for us as a board, with Chris, me, you, everybody, is that we need to find a way to bring funds into this.
Oh, absolutely, and this has been one of my frustrations, my personal frustrations, because again, you know, I don't, it was years now that I put a lot of hours, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
many hours researching different funding sources, and presenting to the board, saying, you know, trying to give, you know, people who have those kinds of skills the basic information to work with, because I am terrible at asking anybody for money. I'm the world's worst, and so I know that's my weakness, and I won't do it. But I can do research, and I can do strategies and those kinds of things for people to use. And so, you know, I put together all kinds of stuff, and repeatedly have warned us that, not warned, but it's, you know, reminded that we're not Peninsula centric, that we're Peninsula centric, and that, you know, there are a lot of sources around the county where, and outside of the county, because Jefferson County is within our purview as well, where we could be getting money. But again, you know, we've been so distracted with our personnel stuff that we haven't put the time and energy into contacting these other entities around the county, you know, and have relied solely on Peninsula. And like anything, farming, if you monocrop, you're vulnerable. And we've done the same thing with this, where we've relied on one source for our funding, and we're vulnerable. I mean, it's classic stuff, right? Instead of diversifying and what's the other word they do when you're in multiple different.
Well, the diversification.
Well,
Well, Chris, I'm back, so
He's back.
we'll go back on to the topic here. So we were on outreach and fundraising. Does anyone else have anything to add on that topic?
Well, that's what we were just talking about. Was fundraising outside of the city. That, you know, that years ago I presented, and it's that same document that had the rates on it as well, by the way. And it had contact information for the counties and all this different stuff in terms of you know, establishing from city, county, and different entities where we can get money from, so we're not in support, not only money, but support.
So now we have a franchise agreement with the city. What is it going to take for us to go and get a swim?
We just got to have a conversation, but part of that conversation is what we offer. And I think part of that also, see, this is what we should be spending our time on, is sitting down with the technical aspect of it and saying, okay, as I just said, so what do we offer swim? What do we offer for pounds? What do we offer forks and joists, right? We obviously, I don't know about the capability of them getting us on channel, whatever they have in Port Townsend or or wherever. I technically don't know those things. But then also we know that our internet stuff is problematic, so that we can't even say, well, we're in your city via the internet, which is a little whatever. But still, for instance, I watch a lot of international television because out in Forks, there is no cable, there's no nothing. So if you're going to watch television, it's via the internet. And so I just choose to watch France and Japan and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it is like what you're doing with the sponsorship list is developing that same list of various entities that we look to for ongoing institutional support. And then the pitch that we give to them is saying, we're servicing your community by providing emergency or schedules of governmental meetings or school lunch, whatever. But what are we offering that they will value? And what's it take for us to provide that for them in exchange for their support? And support can be all the way from just talking nice about us to all of their potential sponsors in the community, right? The business leadership and all the rest of it, down to them actually giving us money, in exchange for posting schedules or whatever.
Okay. So I thought, well, I don't think that's a topic agenda, but I think that we need to have a meeting discussing that. And actually, I would like to make movement on that myself. I mean, since I kind of filled several hats here.
Yeah. And along those lines, because of the distance for me, I function much better on email than I do. I hate Skype telephone, I like IP telephone. So I can research and provide information for people to act with and act upon. And it's not that I'm avoiding doing stuff. I just am upfront about it. I'm terrible about asking people for money. I'm terrible. I didn't want to represent anyone.
Now, I don't mind doing that. I just don't have the technical background for what the founders did and how the technical aspect of the way franchise agreement. If I have the information, if I know what the contract, for example, is, how it functions through the federal program, I still don't know the technical stuff on that. So if I can get some sort of information or a crash course or a lesson or something, or a template, right, or something for me to go and present, I am happy to go and do that.
Well, we should do to find it out. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a needs list or something, Like, in order for you to go and do an effective pitch, these are the types of information that I need to be conversant in.
Right.
And either send those to me, because I love research and finding out that type of stuff, or then we will know who, like on a tech, like the same thing. I don't know about the cable infrastructure. Do we then talk to Wave Cable and say, because we have a relationship with Wave via the same franchise agreement, right? We are the city's designated provider, and therefore they have an obligation to provide this information and work with us. We've not done anything with them, and they've not been real friendly with us, but that's still there. And so, how do we do this? Do you operate in Port Townsend? Yes or no?
So as far as I know, our current reach is at the end of Swim, right before Port Townsend, and close to Forks, because I think Comcast is not in Forks. That's my understanding. These are the technical things that I don't know. I know that there are people in Swim and outside of Swim city limits who have Comcast who say, "Oh yeah, we've seen the stuff on the station. We just don't know what it is." So.
And in the same way, remember that we were going to have an insert, the city was going to put an insert in utility bills, right? We never followed through with that for a couple of reasons. And in retrospect, I'm really glad I looked out. But similarly, you get one from Swing, and similarly, you get one from Port Townsend, and similarly, you get one from wherever we can, and go and approach them. That would be the types of things that we would do with, as a good pitch person, would go to them and say, we offer these things, being a community and public service and volunteer and all the rest of it, we're here for you and you're here for us. I was at Fort City Council last night talking to the city attorney and planner. So that is the type of thing you go and say, okay, how do we get an insert? How do we get on your website? what's it take to get Papa mentioned on your website as a community provider of community information and be part of the institution, be part of the infrastructure. That's what we are. We've not developed it, in all these communities. And then once you're part of the infrastructure, it's like being part of, it's like, being PUD, like it or not, they're there, everybody knows it.
Right. Okay, so we need to work together on getting those basic. Yeah, and I talked with Dale about that I would like for him to provide the information, as he's one of the founders that was part of doing this with the city of Port Angeles. And I guess again, coming to the problem of distance as a barrier and other obligations, since now he's back working at the school. But we need to find time to be able to inform the board, so everyone on the board should know what the process is, so that whoever is able to meet and brainstorm and communicate can have a say in it and help me or whoever to go and actually start making movement on this, because we do need to make movement.
And we don't need to wait for board meetings. That's the other thing.
Right.
Really, and that's why I keep saying email, because, I function much better in email, and especially with the web getting, the inside more than not. And so I will have more time to research and write position stuff and put together pitches or spiels or stuff that you can review and say yes, no, whatever. But, list of contact, people you contact, your email addresses, all that stuff. I like assembling that kind of stuff. You talk to the legislators, right? They're sure chatting, they're good friends of ours.
Okay, so the next thing was to elect a new treasurer, but I think again, unless someone's willing to volunteer, we're gonna table this to another meeting. So that would have been an action item, so can I get a motion to table to a future meeting?
I make a motion to table it to a future meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. We're going to table treasurer elections. So the next topic was to discuss options for or list of grants. So I'll start out with that. While I was here, again, waiting for the computer to do its magic. I did research some grants there. I just went to the almighty Google machine and typed in grants and started looking for it. There are grants out there available, but most of them seem to be in the early parts of the year where they accept the applications. Usually starting from January, ending somewhere around March, April-ish, depending on what it is. And this, I just looked abroad for anything that's out there, but I think that we should be looking for some things that we can do with programming as well, because technically Papa's a nonprofit and can can apply for even movies, journalism, things like that, and extend its nonprofit status to its production team or contract with a contractor to provide a production and extend its 501 status through the grant. So I think we should be looking at those potential grants, as well as, since we do have producers already, work with those who are producing content to look at maybe creating some content that first goes through the markets, whether it's Hollywood or wherever. We create content that could be potentially distributed, and then Papa's 501c3 status can be used to apply for grants to create them. Because we might not be able to find a grant from the building, but we might be able to find a grant that says you can make a movie about documentary about women or minorities or this or that. Go out there, shoot it, and then Papa gets the revenue, and at the same time, we can have local producers having a job, so we would be creating jobs, and we would still have revenue coming in through Papa, as this would be contract work, and we would stipulate the work. So I think that is something that we should also look into going forward, is using our in-house, not quite ready production team, work with our current producers for Papa, and look for grants to shoot documentaries, movies, whatever we can do locally and start working on funding in that retrospect, or in that regard.
There's a directory of funding or granting organizations, and it's www.foundation.org, if I remember correctly. Somewhere in my possessions somewhere, and maybe I'll see if I can dig them up, I bought it's now 20 years old or whatever, but I'm sure a lot of those organizations still exist. The current is like this, and it's by topic, and it has a paragraph about that big, and all the contact information for thousands of granting organizations that then they specify according to the criteria you need to be able to apply. So it's a treasure chest. I mean, it cuts out all the work, right? Because all you do is just, and now it's online, right? So I think the online version today, back when I was looking at this stuff way back when, of course, online didn't exist, or there wasn't the big industry it is now. Now I think it's a subscription to gain access to it. But if you Google up foundation.org, you'll see, and it's everywhere. Anybody who's anybody that gives money away is on foundation.org. So,
Okay.
That'll
If I can jump in there real quick. I did a series of co-op videos earlier this year. 7 of them, they're actually playing on Papa right now. They're about 20 minutes long each. And the cooperative development company over in Olympia was using a USDA grant from their rural development insurance corporation or whatever. But the USDA, that was the second time I got paid through a grant through the USDA, so that may be something to look at as well. Grants are where it's at. It's just too bad, it's so fractured and we can't focus on the money is out there, And I totally agree with Tyler. Eventually, we're going to have to wean ourselves off of the PA-10 and drop our horizons there. It's just like now, the money is on the other side of this review. I want to see it put in our coffers at least to get a half-time program or somebody in there to relieve the stress off of Elizabeth. So we can kind of get going, and then having enough money in the bank so you can have somebody actually have the time to go ahead and get those grants, because they're out there, especially for public access television stations. They're there. We just got to go after them.
Yep.
Anyone else have anything to add?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So we will move on to fundraising ideas review, which was basically to go over what Dale had stated as a new telethon and what my ideas were. So since Dale's not here, we'll table that. So there, again, I've already discussed my idea for that, and I will provide an updated review next board meeting. Okay, so new volunteers. Well, we had a gentleman, David J. looks like Miron. He came in to look at the building because our doors were open, and he said that he has his fingers in certain other nonprofit organizations here in town, and I got him to give me his contact information, so I will be contacting him and trying to see if he would like to donate his time or money or whatnot to help us out. And if not, at least make another contact to see if he knows someone that would be willing to help us out. Thank you. Other than that, I have not had an opportunity to speak with anyone new in regards to becoming a volunteer. So if anyone else has anything else to add. By the way, what this topic is, Tyler, is that a couple of meetings back, I basically told everyone that we should basically be keeping Papa in our everyday interactions, and when we go to the store and we bump into people, to basically tell them Papa is willing to volunteer or if they're a business owner, like wherever we go to on a normal basis, whether it's coffee or food, groceries, stop and think for a minute, hey, let me contact the manager there and say, hey, would you be willing to be a sponsor, volunteer, this or that? So that's just, these are more like going to be monthly updates, so to remind us to do that. If anyone else had an opportunity to speak to them about volunteers?
I mean, I've talked to people in Sweden, and they were like, I will check it out, and I gave your contact information, but I don't think they contacted you, so.
No, not really.
So I gave your email, your Papa, not your regular email. You gave your email to Papa, and if they don't contact you, I will, if I see you again, I'll say, well, why didn't you contact the president of Papa?
Well, I think it'll be a lot easier once the doors are open.
Yeah.
Once people can come in here and walk through it, it's comfortable, it's comfortable. I think that the tide will change real fast.
Yeah.
One of the comments, somebody sent an email this morning, it was about the ABA, the Business Association, McIntyre sent out something, and they wrote back and said, well, why don't you tell them to do something about it, because there's nothing to do in this town. And what we're offering, as we said all along, is an amenity. We are an amenity for this town. People come in here and do something that, play creativity, all these different venues that we're media that we're inhabiting. So it will change once we get the doors open.
All right. Chris, have you had any opportunities to make any contacts for new volunteers or? Yeah, well, it's not about the spot, we just, it's an update.
I'm going to have to apologize to the board and the president, but my mind is elsewhere. That's why I forgot about the meeting. I've got like 3 different things going on right now.
No worries, I'll forgive you.
That sort of thing. And I guess things going on with my daughter and grandchildren that are.
Well, we appreciate you coming into the meeting with us.
But, I totally spaced it. I talked to that. But anytime I have an opportunity when I'm engaging with people, especially on collaborative on this stuff, I always just over to Papa and tell them about Papa TV. And I haven't done that lately, but whenever I get an opportunity, I try to just give a little jolt to Papa and let them know that it's there. Most people have never heard of it. So, a lot of people don't have wave either. They've got satellite, and so they wouldn't be able to see it anywhere, which is unfortunate. But going back to what we said a little earlier, we definitely need to, once we get our money and we're stable again, we got to get on the internet. That was a huge blow of us not being able to be worldwide.
Yes.
And just being here on the peninsula, which is great. But that ties us to later as well. So we need that little extra freedom, I think, of having the internet connection.
Right. Yes, I agree with that sentiment.
When you were talking about that, it made me think about some of the campaigns we've run in the back and past, and one of them was the guy with a button maker, and he said, you wear little buttons, it's ask me about Pop TV, or something that'll get people to say, what's that about?
Yeah, that's true.
It's something that gives you a daily reminder.
And let me check,
go,
let me check in our garage, because I think we have buttons that, we had a big box of them, because we were doing something, right? And they're just plates, plates. But if you're gonna put pop on it, then you can just take a plate. You've got the white thing in the middle, you can put pop on it.
Oh, they're easy to do, when you can make up, have little covers on them. Like, when we were doing the super words, we had little yellow and brown buttons that they were yellow with brown letters that said poo-poo on P3s. And people were all like,
What is that?
what's that about? Right? I mean, I got so many people who stand in grocery lines or whatever. Poo-poo on P3s, what the hell's that? Right?
Okay, so what
Okay, so our next topic, moving on, is scheduling work sessions. Does anyone want to schedule a work session for any particular reason? Does anyone have any open availability and would like to do something officially on calendar? Whether it's facility, whether it's grant writing, whether it's whatever.
Well, my thing is I'm trying to get the grant writing lady that I know from the Department of Washington to help us, right? Once I get confirmation, and I'll send out an email to you, and then you can write them out to the board, you know. That way, I know she's on board and she's willing to help and all that stuff. I don't want to say, yes, she's going to help, because you don't want to be with the cart before the horse, you know, so.
So I would like to see if I can get something scheduled so that someone can come down here and help me take these tables and take them over to the scrapyard. Right now they're just in our way, and we've tried to get rid of them by posting them in front of the building and by posting them online, and no one wants them. So I would like to get rid of them just to at least open up the space and allow us square footage for something down the road. So if anyone is available this week or next week, I would, could use a hand in getting this stuff out.
Yeah, email me, because now that Ruby's back in school, you know, I'm a little more free just because we were working on projects together when she wasn't at school, now she's at school, and we're not working on projects together, so I'm working by myself, and I'm coming PA, I don't say regularly, but more often than I was. So email me, and I certainly would help. I do have an interest in one of those those little up and down tables, but other than that, the rest of it, yeah.
Okay. So I'll send out an email tonight as a reminder request to schedule a day for a work session to get rid of the abundant amount of tables that we have that won't work for our purposes.
And you know, I say that because your schedule, I suspect, is more finite and constrained than mine is.
Actually, I have a lot more availability at the moment for certain reasons. I can discuss later on. But I do have a little bit more open availability.
So we can work some time out. Good, excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've got another project, but I can shift them around to make it work. So good. The other one, I'd like to see us, again, have a work party down here to get this wall, you know, get a couple of sheets of sheetrock and get that wall finished off and painted. Because that, again, it's the optics, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then once the wall's done, then when the later carpet is, you know, glued down, we're done, right? So getting that, and as I'm sitting here looking at the copper pipe that I put behind the wall there, in anticipation that we were going to replumb the building from the galvanized pipe to copper, and that's why that 3/4 inch copper supply line is there. It's not attached to anything.
Oh, okay.
It's
I was
just-
like, how did you get it up to the wall?
Well, I put it in there where I have the wall open because that was the thought. It's a simple thing to attach it down the top and bottom and get it behind the wall without turning the wall open again.
Yeah.
So that's why that's sitting there. Anyway, so again, for your availability or anybody that wants to do that, I can't transport sheetrock very easily, but other than that.
Well, and remember, we do have the van as well.
Is it registered, insured?
I have to double check with Elizabeth. I don't think it has been, but if we need to, we can. Well, I remember Dale said that he got a temporary insurance to get down here. Anyway, we can use other available.
Yeah, I can borrow a piece of shit truck that a neighbor has up the hill there, and I can borrow it to stick.
And with with me, I can be available. I have a truck and equipment to do that as well. I just need to know when. Because I really do want to put so much momentum moving forward. I'm motivated, but I can't do everything by myself. Dale said that he would bring the tables in, 2 weeks or whatever, however long ago it was. Never did it, so I came down here because I found out that homeless people were taking the tables, barricading, making a barrier in front of the door, so it's sitting behind it next to the door. So I just came down, so from one of the current candidates running for council informed me of that, so I just came here, got everything in and out of the way, so that would no longer happen. Which, as you can see, we've actually had a lot less homeless people now. And especially, I did make a call because they created an apartment.
Yeah, she's there now. You see that she's sitting at the entry.
Yeah, so,
it's basically.
yeah, so we no longer have that issue as much going forward. Okay, so again, everyone just keep an eye on an opportunity to talk to people in our daily interactions with the community, the public, to inform them about PAPA, about the opportunity for them to help us out, that we are in need of professionals in terms of attorneys, accountants, people who have these types of skills that can aid us in our goal, and they can volunteer their time, obviously since we cannot compensate them for it. So keep that in mind for opportunities to discuss these types of things in your daily interactions. I'm sorry, actually that was work session where we did that. So, but also keep that in mind, same thing. Work sessions, keep in mind in daily life, if you're in Port Angeles, maybe contact someone from the board. If you have an opportunity to come down here for a half hour to do something, if you need help to be motivated, call us, communicate. Is there something that we can do? I want to do this, can you come and help me? Okay, so review of board member requirements and City of Papa contracts. Elizabeth did email everyone the copy of the contracts. She did provide one copy here of the older contract, but I guess I think we should table that as a discussion for tonight and readdress on a different board meeting. But I would like everyone to again look for the email, and if you don't have it, contact me or Elizabeth, and I will forward it to you. We definitely have to be prepared. Once this review is done, with the knowledge of what the current contracts are, we have 2 sets to go into negotiations, and I think the negotiations will be as a board as a whole. So when that comes, we will all need to be ready to participate. So I don't think that's going to be a one-on-one topic. I think that should be a full board negotiation session with the city.
I make a motion that we table this until next following business session.
Okay. Second?
So second that.
Okay. So Jeff and Tyler, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that'll be tabled to the next meeting, but please everyone find some time to review both those topics so we can be prepared. Okay, that brings us to new business, and that is Tyler's topic to inform the board on potential creation of a new nonprofit that will be sister to PAPA, and it will be located out in the Forks area. Tyler, go ahead and inform the board.
Yay! Yes, since I've been putting so much time out there, getting involved in the community and the school and all the rest of it out there, both I and to greater or lesser extent Dale, because of course he's working as a teacher at the school, but as a teacher, school is very time committed. But there's a building there that is very prominent. In fact, it might be on the foundation of the old Pullman house there out there, a very historic building, but it sits up on a prominence and it's has stunning views in all directions. The beaches, the ocean, Rialto Beach, the forests in the different directions. It's an absolutely perfect location for a media center. And so, given that I don't like to negotiate with anybody, Dale did take it by himself to find out who the owners are and have contacted them. And we have gotten a preliminary go for it from them. The building is very funky, but it's a 2-story, sort of like this, where the exterior is straight and square, the interior is trashed, and it's going to take a renter. So Dale and I are very excited and proceeding with negotiating with the owners and the tribal council and the different entities there to set up on the Quileute Nation. So it's a tribal land. Nobody owns the land that the homes sit on the tribe. It's all owned by the tribe. So we have access to the building, but not the land itself, which is a big plus in this case, because that then engages the tribal council. So all the things we need to do go through tribal council. Well, the tribal council loves the idea of a media center. And so they have available to them grants and funding and all kinds of stuff that we don't have access to. And they have grant writers and they have all that stuff that we don't have. And so in thinking how to proceed, obviously, the very beginning was that as I've been writing emails that Papa Peninsula area was, oh boy, here's our satellite, just like we were bringing it down. Oh boy, here's our satellite. However, given that it's on tribal land, it sounds to me that it's better that we set up a separate one so that there is no possibility or potential Papa being dragged into stuff that it doesn't have time and energy to be involved in. Concurrently, it also then means that we can move forward with the satellite because they have grant writers and all that kind of stuff. We can avail ourselves of the tribal resources that Papa doesn't have access to. So we actually can advance Papa in a very meaningful way by not actually being part of Papa, by being a sister station. And so that way, of course, all program, everything will get shunted over to Papa, of course, like it was originally envisioned. It's just the management structure of it, or the legal structure of it, by having it as a separate entity on the separate nation, that enables us to proceed super faster than we otherwise would be able to. And so we're moving ahead with that. We still have nothing in writing yet because we want to make sure what we're getting into before we signing anything. But I think it's going to be a really, that way, as much as I want to help this project here and constrained by the distance, I'm only 10 minutes away from that building. I can put time and energy into that and get programming and do all that kind of stuff set over here that I can't do.
So, anyone have any questions for Tyler or further information that they would like?
I'm just curious, Tyler, about the cable facilities out there. What do they have for internet? Is that something that they have out there that you know of?
No, that's actually one of the things that's really kind of fun and exciting about this because as far as we know, there is no cable system on the res. And so part of it will be getting a grant system set up so that we can have a cable set up to the res because, again, all the emergency management stuff and all the stuff that they actually need and don't have. So that's another one of those whole things of like funding opportunities that will facilitate this whole thing and jobs and all, community engagement, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to be pulling cable through that town.
Yeah, I know that there's a program that is trying to connect all of the Peninsula to internet, high-speed internet. And I heard it at the council meeting, Port Eso's council meeting, they were talking about that. And it's supposed to go all the way up to Fortson. I'm sure that didn't say they could go out to the reservation out there. So something to look into. That'd be a good way to get that out there for sure with the grant.
Well, as soon as
I think it's a great idea. How you put it together might be interesting. That's the technical part of all of that, but certainly like the concept.
So as soon as I can, when I got the email this morning that, they are basically saying you have a place you can go for it. As you know, you have to have permission to photograph anything on the res.
Oh, yes.
And so I haven't photographed the place yet for that very reason. And I'm just chomping at the bit to go into that place with my camera and photograph the place inside and out as a before and after. But anyway, we'll be able to, talk to have the council drop off a dumpster and, all the rest of it. We can get the kind of cooperation that we're not getting from the city there, but at least it'll be a little refreshing.
So I would just like to voice that I would like more information in terms of how we structure that, how the new nonprofit's going to interact with PAPA. I'm thinking of like the legal stuff, you know, what obligations, how we are going to coexist, because that is something that would have, one, would have to be approved by the board. Two, we would also have to discuss conflict of interest again, because that would technically be a conflict of interest for board members. As a separate organization, you'd be sitting on.
For instance, I'm a member of a number of organizations as well as PAPA, and there's no conflict with that. We serve on different boards and serve have different functions.
Right, but what I'm saying is that this is the more information that we'll have to go over, because technically a secondary media program is a competition unless we have agreements and stuff worked out.
And I don't think that's the case either, because just as an example, there's the existing, what's he called himself in Port Townsend, that presents in community television or something. He's been there for years. It's just a guy that operates it, but he's a nonprofit providing public access television in Port Townsend before we even existed. And, you know, we have a great relationship with McMinnville, and we get stuff from them. I mean, there's a lot of different, pay stations around that we all interact and share programming with and all the rest of it. So I don't see where there's any problems with that. I mean, we can look into it.
What I would say is, because we need to look into it right now, I think we table it until we have more information.
Well, I put it this way, the PAPA doesn't really have much say-so in what the formation of it, right? I mean,
Right.
no,
Business
launch or something, PAPA doesn't have to, have a say-so. A lot of you start a lawn mowing business, I mean, we're proceeding with it, and it's an exciting opportunity that will provide PAPA with a bunch of stuff, and that's it's more of an information thing than it is something.
You want to give us information, show us what it's about.
Yeah, so you can
how it is.
Yeah,
And
right.
that way we go from there.
Right, because basically what we're saying is, there's a new entity being created, and if that entity has an interest in joining with PAPA, we have to look at the technical, legal.
Well, I don't know that there's a joining, because I don't know that, see, that's where I agree with you. I think that, that's in fact why a separate entity is being created, so that there is separation for all possible reasons. There's like a lot of reasons to, and no reasons not to, kind of a deal.
And that's why I was saying we have to look into it, because if it's within the current Comcast area, it becomes competition. It does, because we are to the border of Port Townsend, and the current map that I saw from Wave is to the end of the west coast. However, where the cables actually are don't necessarily make it to those areas, but they are represented in those areas. So if we have a new 501 performing PEG functions, that's a direct competition within our jurisdiction, so to speak. So again, what that organization can apply for, my understanding is that two people cannot compete for one wave contract.
I don't know that.
An entity is, so for example, we are the direct provider for the city of Port Angeles wave agreement.
Right.
So that organization would not.
Yes, but and I'm not pushing it, but for instance, when I was looking at all the various PEG stations when I was doing research for here, many cities alone have multiple PEG stations within the city, much less within their county. So multiples existing within one city, I've seen a precedent for that, many of them, especially big cities, not Port Angeles, but big cities. So that part of it I've seen precedent for. We are, PAPA is the city of Port Angeles designated, but that's not the county, and that's not Wave, that's the city's relationship with Wave and PAPA, not PAPA's relationship with Swing, PAPA's relationship with what happens in Papa's relationship with anybody else. So Papa's, Lady Papa city relationship is just the city, and it doesn't apply to the rest of it.
So we'll still have to look into that, because for what would be desired at other location, other organizations to air on Papa, they would have to work with us.
Oh, sure.
So-
So like that we get programming from Deutsche Welle and everybody else that we rebroadcast.
So we'll take a look further into that as you guys pursue that, and we have to, while you are pursuing that, we will have to look into, again, one will be conflict of interest, because of just being on the board, we have to re-look at that, revisit that, and then we have to revisit how Papa wants to interact with other agencies, and how other agencies want to interact with us. So it's just something to look into and keep in mind as we go forward. But congratulations on looking into the future of other areas and expansion, which is what Papa needs to do itself. Okay, so anything else? Any questions, comments, Tyler? Tyler, do you have any follow-up statements, questions for us, or no? Okay. So we'll go on to our final topic, which is announcement. Does anyone have any announcements they would like to share? For the
Sure, I'll jump in there just very quickly. First of all, received a reconciliation report from Elizabeth a couple days ago that she couldn't put on PDF for whatever reason, so she did it snail mail. And I got that over to Dwayne along with a lot of the other documents that we requested. So reviews going forward, haven't really heard much. It's on him right now to do what he needs to do. And we're doing it. So we're financed by the city, and we'll make it through. The other thing, which is probably a very minor thing, I was at the city today, actually the council, Jay was working with their IT guy. There's a XLR port and a quarter-inch jack port right as you come in, and you're coming down the stairs on the left-hand side where you walk in behind where Nathan sits, but it's right on the wall. If any of you guys have seen that. Now, I've been trying to get clear audio from the council for a long time, and that XLR port has been broken. So we're going to try to fix it today or find out what was wrong with it. I know most everybody uses a shotgun mic in there, but the audio really sucks. If you're picking up everything from everybody, and those mics are so much cleaner. Anyway, that's just me.
Okay. Well, thank you for your.
I'm a recovering perfectionist, but anyways, so we looked at it, and I had to pop down just to almost zero, and he was just absolutely blowing me out of the building, and there was no way that he could turn it down to get it to work, and then we went into the audio room, which is around the corner there, and did the same thing happened. There's no control of the XLR output there, but the quarter-inch slots, I just got my headphones with me. He had a quarter-inch adapter, so I slipped it in there, and then that audio was as clean as clean could be. So, if you want to have really clean audio and the camera supports it, you can do an XLR adapter to a quarter mic jack, or just a straight quarter mic cable to your camera. Use that. There's a left and right. Just use one or the other, and you can really clean audio doing that for our council shoots. Anyway, that's all I got for right now.
Well, thank you for doing what you're doing for the review and all the other stuff. Much appreciated for all your hard work.
Thanks, Tom. Anyone else have any announcements for the group? No? Okay, so that was our last topic, and it is 7:25, and can we get a motion to adjourn?
I motion.
And,
Second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so 7:25, we're adjourned.
Okay.